Hello, I'm Bob. I'm the other part of Sow, Grow and Cook. I'm the one who tends to do a lot of the building. In particular, I've been responsible for building all the huts and the runs for the chickens and the ducks. Our latest lot of ducks, and they are lucky because this is the brand new home we built for them. It's a kit, but what we want to show you is how we winterize all of this and make it ready for the rains that will come in winter. Okay, we're about to weatherize everything, ready to protect all our poultry, ready for the winter. First thing is, make sure that the pens are all covered and are all quite safe. If you look at the one on my left, you'll see that there's no protection really there at all. You've just got these 4 rescue ducks. They used to be commercial egg layers, and it was somewhere to hold them. In the past, recently, we've kept our Campbells in there. Now they're there ready to be protected. In this one, no roof to protect from the weather. Animals can get through it quite easily. And if you look, there's a bowl of food there on the ground. The duck's about to come and eat it. But so are all the other chickens. Right, back to the new pen so that we can get it ready for our white ducks and our Campbells. Now, it's all set up, but you'll notice it's covered in little white ties. You have to make sure that when the netting goes on, there are no gaps left. And I've been going around busy checking that there's no spaces at the bottom of the runs for any fox or nasty animal to try and get in. But equally, we have put in, if you see where my foot is, there, we put a skirting all the way around. And that skirting is quite easy to lift. To hold the skirting down, because it has a habit of rolling up, just use some of these pegs. I do like a big hammer. I pegged that in, but it's not quite wide enough. So we're going to add another strip round the outside to make doubly sure. If you haven't got enough pegs, and they're not that strong, bricks, blocks of wood, or even old fence posts are enough to hold everything down. But eventually, all this grass is going to grow. It'll grow through that, and it'll hold it down really well, as we've found on all the other pens that we've got. Having checked everything around, the next stage is of winterizing is to get all the thing covered. Now, we've had fun with coverings over the last 2 years. Some have ripped, some have blown off, blown up. Keep going. One other reason for checking out your run is to make sure that the ground is right. This field slopes a little bit, not much at all for Wales, but the water does flow down when it really rains, and it pools like the ground behind me. You'll see it's really muddy, and if I'd put the pen where I wanted to put it, you'd have had a pool of water where the house is. So I've moved the whole thing back. Just a warning to you, please remember to check that before you do anything. You lay out the fabric to check that it's going to fit. Put it face side down so that the side you want will end up showing. We prefer green. Previous fabric we used was only light to medium strength. That's measured in grams per square metre, GSMs. Because it tended to pull, rip and be too loose in the wind, we're now choosing 250 grams per square metre. You'll see it's far heavier. You can walk on it carefully and pull it over the frame with no danger of it catching or ripping. You can pull it over the frame yourself using rope tied through an eyelet in the centre of the opposite side. If necessary, fold the fabric over so that the rope doesn't need to be too long. Lob it over the top and check you can get hold of it and start pulling. The supplier I chose offered 3 metres, 4 metres or 5 metre widths. I've used 4 metres before, but for added protection I chose 6 metres long by 5 metres width. Once it's laid over the frame, check that it's all lined up and spread evenly. And then don't forget to remove the rope. Before I started any of this, I had to make sure I measured everything up correctly. This pen is 6 meters long by 3 meters wide. So you've got to make sure the fabric fits, but it's the different widths you can use. On some of them, I've used 6 meters by 3, which brings you to here, this rail. And you fix the fabric through the eyelets onto that rail. And they give you these things, bungee cords. Is what happens. Not strong enough at all, especially without any further support. So now I've got shorter toggles, and all I'm going to use them for is for fixing the ends in place so they don't lift at all. The main strength of this is going to be done with ropes. I've tied down the actual fabric with 6mm polypropylene rope. These things keep it fairly tight. After a little while they do loosen a bit, but I go around them again and tighten them up again. That one is loose and needs tightening up the thing, and it holds the whole fabric down. However, in a wind the whole lot is going to lift. It is heavier and it won't lift as much, but you do need strength, and I use these ratchet cables. They're not too expensive, but they're immensely strong and they hold everything exactly where you want it. And to tie these on, I use 12mm rope, far stronger, and these hooks fit nicely through there. They can't fit round any of these rails because they're just not wide enough, so rope is good enough, and it seems to work very well, even in a wind. Now, I should point out, even last year in Storm Kira, using these, everything did hold, I'm delighted to say. Since we came here over 2 years ago, we've increased our flock of chickens and ducks. We've been careful to protect them from weather and predators, but we now have to protect them from wild birds which carry avian flu. I hope this part of winterizing has been useful. However, we will produce a second episode looking at ways to keep the inside of the pen drier. At this stage, I admit that the inside of the duck pen is drier, but is darker than I expected. We've shown how we're developing. It may not be perfect, but it's working for us. We hope that you find all this useful, and we'd like you to share your experiences and ideas with us. Please use the comments section below. And thank you for watching Sow Grow and Cook. See you next time.
Oh, it's starting to rain.